you want to talk about aliens here? I'm reading a great book right now. I'm always reading books about UFOs because I'm so fascinated with the subject. The current one is Jacques Vallée is someone that I really love, and his take on UFOs is so unlike the mainstream take on that phenomena. This book's called Passport to Magonia. Passport to Magonia. Magonia is this. So it's this like old school word for fairyland, that was used in like medieval times, I believe. Yeah. And he has a bunch of books. This particular one, he's diving deep into fairyland legends, and comparing them to modern alien and UFO phenomena descriptions, and they're nearly identical. And so all he's saying in this book is the UFO/alien is the same thing that's been going on for thousands of years, but it's wrapped up in a higher technology, a more advanced technology, because as a culture we've advanced to a higher technology and we now think upon them terms. And that's how important our own cultural interpretation is of what's going on, where the same shit's happening, but in the 1400s in Ireland it's called a big-eyed fairy. In 1950 in America it's a big-eyed homosexual. It's a big-eyed homosexual. Yeah. Who's trying to touch your bum. Yeah. No, it's a big-eyed, it's a gray. It's a big-eyed alien. It's these grays,
Alright, so I have, there's Richard Feynman and Bill Bryson both have Richard Feynman, he was this like scientist, he was almost like a scientist / philosopher. And he basically says it's just extremely unlikely that, and I'm blending this with what Bill Bryson says, an alien species that can traverse the kind of distance or have faster than light travel or time travel or interdimensional travel,
sure,
has developed a technology that makes our highest end Elon Musk rocket a monkey banging two sticks together. It's limited this down to that. So technologically, and even like militarily, if they can, the amount of energy they'd have to expel to travel here from wherever they came from, they'd have some kind of weapon. If they had to fear us in any way, that we would not be able to even have anything to do with. So it's basically they could travel to us and have no fear of us at all. Do you think someone that has to have that much energy, know we're here, figure us out, make the trip, get here, is going to go out west and stick an anal probe up some hillbilly and then fly away?
It's extremely unlikely.
It's just
that's right.
Extremely unlikely.
Those reports of people getting probed in the Midwest, these housewives that live in Carson City, Nevada, what's going on there is it's a lot of paranoia and pathology, in my opinion.
And also,
I'm not saying nothing happened to them, but imagine if we were unable for an instant to distinguish dreams from reality. Mm-hmm. You could explain away all of those things. What's more unlikely? We slip into a state of consciousness where we cannot tell our dreams from reality, or somebody is coming with an advanced technology from galaxies away and really coming into your bedroom, some Joe Schmo in the middle of nowhere, and putting a probe up you. What is more likely? And I'm just giving one other explanation that's somewhat terrestrial based. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. But the other one is when the whole Area 51 thing. I mean, this is a testing ground for the Air Force. Now, they were doing a lot of testing with for space, the whole race for space type of thing. And they didn't want Russia to know how far along they were. And one of the things they were testing was escape modules and also the reentry modules for people to come back
After being up in the space shuttles. Yeah.
So one thing that they
I've
did,
seen some of those reentry things. They do look like little UFOs.
Yeah, and they were testing them with monkeys. And they were testing shields, they were testing all sorts of things. So they'd have, here's little monkeys in little spacesuits. And a monkey, let's say it doesn't survive re-entry and it burns up, well, its skull is going to have big eyes. And then some farmer's going to find this thing. Now, they find this round capsule with no means of how it got there, with little men in spacesuits all burnt up with big eyes, with all this fancy writing on it, which is all probably just technical writing and stress. You know when you watch like a crash test of like a car and they have all these little symbols and things on it because they want to keep track of like...
What is that?
Well, a lot of times they have measurements on the car. So when a car hits something, they want to measure if it expanded or contracted. So they have very little markings and lines so they could remeasure and find out what happened in the car. I'm sure that was all over the ship. So when it hit the ground, they could say, oh, okay, this compressed this much, this did this. Or this burnt up, whatever, or whatever engineer scribbled on the side, because they didn't have to make it look perfect. And some guy in a pickup finds this thing. He's like, oh, little green men, they must have come down from, because they're in a crater, because this is a test thing, maybe the parachute didn't open up. And the government is asked about it, and they don't want to say, oh yeah, we're already testing a re-entry capsule to put men in because we're this far along in our space race. They don't want to tip their hand to Russia to show how far along
because then Russia will know, right?
So then they were like, no comment. And then when they're like, it's aliens, and the government's like, fuck, they think it's aliens. Let's keep this going to make so Russia's not going to think how far along we are into the space program, and we'll say we can't deny any conversation with aliens, and then secretly, it's so funny, the hillbilly. So
that you believe that that's what happened at Area 51 regarding that?
It's an Air Force testing thing.
Yeah.
It was they were testing all the first animal that was ever sent into space was a dog, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's right. It was a dog. That is a strange animal.
Was it named Lucky?
I think it was Lucky. That is the most unlucky dog ever.
Yeah, because they say Russia tried to say he died like a couple days later, like humanely, like he went to sleep, but they say he actually died from the heat from.
Oh, the poor dog.
When he went up into space. Oh, yeah, that was like...
The dog's like, oh, unlimited treats? This is a great deal. Yeah, just get in this little...
He's like, oh, a silver suit? Oh, my dog friends are going to be so happy. Like, yeah, this is a one-way ticket. We'll find out. Lucky. But yes, but we use monkeys because they were closer to humans.
I've never heard that explanation about the Area 51 thing, but that makes total sense to me. You mentioned something earlier with the advanced, so assume there's an advanced technology somewhere, they're far away, they come here.
Like they pretty much play the equivalent of Ding Dong Ditch on another planet. I mean, that's like us. Imagine we went to Mars.
That's not how you would do it. First of all, if you have a technology like that, like it's so advanced that you can traverse the stars extremely easily, and or an interdimension. We're talking a technology way beyond our understanding. If you wanted to investigate another planet and you didn't want to be detected, you would not be detected. That's just...
No, yeah, that's true.
That's how you would do it. You wouldn't play this Ding Dong Ditch game.
Yeah.
Have you been to the MUFON site? Do you see how many reportings of UFO sightings there are? It's over 50,000 now since the MUFON website began.
Wait,
MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network or whatever it is.
Oh, really?
So anyone can go on there and submit your sighting, and then they'll put it on a map, and you can see how many were viewed. If you look on it now, yesterday there will be some viewings in the world somewhere, and a little dot will appear, and you can kind of look at a map of the sightings from last month or this year, and there's a tally that runs, and it's in the tens of thousands.
Oh, see, I just would go on there just to say I saw some stuff.
You said
it was in my bathroom.
Yeah.
I saw a flash.
Something came out of my drain.
Yeah.
It could have been a monkey in a spacesuit. Or it could have been a cockroach.
Someone's into that.
So, now, granted, these are just the people reporting to MUFON, which is a fraction of the people reporting overall, because some people don't. Some people report.
Most of the people that report, they don't have computers.
Yes, a lot of the people that get hit with this shit, they don't have computers, right?
Yeah.
They're in the middle of nowhere, or they're embarrassed. They don't want to even say. So imagine take that number, times it by 10. Those are the people who have actually had a sighting of some sort, a UFO sighting, an unidentified. I'm not saying a spacecraft. I'm saying lights, anything, an unidentified sighting. Maybe 1/10 of them are on MUFON, of the people that actually see it because they don't want to report it, whatever. Now, of all those appearances of these lights, how many of them are going on and no one's even there to? There's no human there to witness it. Another 10 times 10 or another times 20? No. So extrapolate that number. That's a crazy amount of presence that we're dealing with. And if you're some kind of advanced, civilization, you're not going to do it like this. Yeah. That's not what's going on.
You got some cloaking banger.
Yeah. And they always like to say, well, no, they're investigating us. This is not... You need this many times to come here to investigate? I mean, you're a crazy person. It just shows a gross misunderstanding on just a cultural behavior. Shit, if we were going to go spy on some small pre-literate civilization in the middle of the Amazon, we would be more stealthy than this. And we have a limited technology compared to what could be out there.
Well, and on the other side of it...
One drone!
Oh, yeah. Well, forget the alien technology side. If you look at the human psychology side of it, too, you have someone living out in the Midwest. They're a retiree. They have a ranch. They've got their farm. They got this. And their life is just the same thing every day. And they're like, yeah, Jim, I saw this floating light above my thing, whatever it was. I don't know. Then they're like, oh, really? You think you saw some UFOs? And he's at the bar, and everyone's like, hey, everyone, Jim's going to tell a story. And they'll gather around, and he tells a story about the light that shined on his cow. And then all of a sudden, and then Channel 12 comes out, and they're like, Channel 2 News here, we're reporting on the light that shined on your cow. Was the light spinning? The guy was like, yeah, well, it was spinning. And now he's like having people come over to his house. He's getting all this attention. Then some documentary guy comes over. He's like, hey, can I buy you some beer? We'll do it. And he's like, yeah, it was spinning, and the cows were flying, and all of a sudden why is he going to say, oh, I think actually it was like the moon and I was a little stoned and I just saw it, and then all that attention's going to go away.
Yeah, I would imagine.
So he's motivated just by...
I would imagine...
attention. You turn into a little celebrity, even though you're kind of like a wackadoo.
I would imagine a percentage of them are feeling this way, and they're led on by the media, and they're led on by the idea of having some attention, and so that's problematic, because now you have a false story that's been amplified by the media, because the media runs on the amplification of anomalies. Mm-hmm. This is an anomaly, and then people see that and they think that it's happening way more than it is.
I forgot. I don't know if it was a study or it was a report, but the amount of people that had lost limbs that were depressed versus happy.
Oh, yeah. I'm going through that now with a stepfather. He's about to lose a limb.
Oh, really?
He is so depressed.
Oh,
he's a mess.
Well, why? How's he going to lose a limb? Diabetes or something?
No, he had a foot injury while working. He's a plumber all his life, and a very bad foot break. It's going on 10 years now, probably longer, that he's been out of work and nursing this foot injury, and then it never healed properly, and then he walked on it when he wasn't supposed to, so it re-broke, and then it's just been going on and on and on. And I was just home, and he didn't even leave the recliner that he's in now to go have Thanksgiving dinner, which was a short drive away. He's now stuck in the house. This depression is deep, and it's going bad. So this is very common.
There's a point that relates to the whole alien thing. I'll bring it back. He loses his foot. He's now on a cane walking around, and like, how did you lose your foot? He's like, oh, I injured it, and I wasn't supposed to walk on it. I broke it again, and I did this, and it just kept breaking, and it had to get amputated. Like, that sucks. But then you've got that kid that went to the Gulf War, who was like a hero, or the chick that lost one of her legs during the Boston Marathon bombing. They get all this attention. Everyone's like, you're this hero. Now, I'm not saying that this is a very general statement. This is only
you're not saying everybody.
That's not everybody. It sucks to lose a limb.
You're not a total asshole.
Yeah. There's some people, their life changes for the better after a tragedy like that. It just depends on
You're like, you're the
what
shark
the
girl.
circumstances.
I fucked the shark girl.
Yeah.
You did? What was that like? Oh, there's no legs to get in the way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there was a shark girl, the 13-year-old girl.
Oh, I know. I know.
She's blonde, blue-eyed.
Yeah, and she went back out there.
Yeah, and she got her arm. Didn't she get attacked again?
Oh, I don't think so.
No, that'd be fucked.
But she did lose her arm, and she went back out.
She lost her arm. Yeah, I think once you get attacked by a shark, like all sharks are like, all right, we're good. You don't have to do that. But if it was like Joe Schmo, the factory worker who accidentally stuck his arm in an industrial shredder, he's not on Ellen DeGeneres.
That's true.
Because it's more kind of believable. So, I don't know if I'm just that stupid or that hookah affected me. But anyway.
Yeah, you're probably feeling
the alien thing. You have someone with a dull life. Now they've got this interesting story. They've got all this stuff, and now they find meaning in life from all this attention, and they're not going to make it go away. And then I'm sure other people see it too. They're like, oh well, Rich, he was he was abducted. Well, I was abducted too, and they did this to me, and they did that to me.
Now.
You never hear of an investment banker in New York City that gets abducted by aliens.
This is true. I think a good portion of them, they just love this excitement in their life. But this doesn't take away from the fact that something's going on, because I've seen things too. I classify what I've seen as UFOs because I don't know what they are.
Well, yes.
And I think that's a healthy, skeptical way to go about it. A lot of times the culture, because of these stories, has pushed this pressure on you to translate it as beings from another place. This was just problematic. I don't translate it that way because I'm a fucking free thinker and I've studied this stuff and I think about these things. There is something going on though. There's been lights seen in the sky going back thousands of years, man. Something is going on.
Well,
is it beings from far away? I do not think so. What is it? I don't know. But there's a lot of life is a mystery. It's way more complicated than we can really sort of just our limited instrument, this brain, can understand. There are signals coming in we're getting hit right now with millions and millions of signals. We have 5 senses that pick up a small fraction of these signals. And then those signals that we've already cut down on are then translated through our our socialization, our early imprinting, our culture, our language. So that's another filter over it. So of all the signals coming through, what actually comes out is such a tiny little, signal, a tiny little translation that doesn't cover it all. The signals are pretty fucking. I think I would be mistaken to not say these signals run the entire gamut of crazy experiences. Crazy shit does happen. And then, in this book I'm reading shows you it's the translation of this experience. What is that? What is going on? Where is it coming from? Ghosts, telepathy, UFOs, whatever you want to call them. There is a magic about this place. I don't think that we're advanced enough to sort of get a proper grip on it and translate it into what it actually is. I don't know if we'll ever be there. Well, it may be a technology that takes us there. I don't think our brains are enough. Like, imagine what an ant that's walking around here, right? And then what if I fucking take a hit of this hookah and just like blow it on the ant, and then I walk by, that ant is like, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? And that ant, like, imagine that ant could communicate in the way that we do. Is like, they can't, but like, let's say they would go tell this story, but it's just that they don't have an instrument that's vast enough to sort of get a grip on everything that just happened. Now, stuff like that's happening to us here on Earth. What is it, though?
Well, what if there's some kind of alien race that's kind of talking to us? And I think this was out of the Mothman movie or something like that.
I love that movie.
Something that's so advanced, it's like, you think you're a smart person, try explaining yourself to a cockroach. Like, if someone's so much more advanced than us, like, they communicate in such a different way. They're, in fact, one of the books that I was reading a little while ago talks about this species of people that transcended biology, and now they're just data. And they're just data that kind of travels through the universe in a way. Like, they get through computers and people's heads and random shit. But if you're a species that's now just you're just data, how do you communicate with a species that doesn't communicate that way yet? Yeah, I get all that, but as far as aliens visiting Earth in like little flying saucers, like 99.9.9% of things that see visually can be explained, I feel. Whether it's something in the air you didn't see, something in the air that just looked like a plane that just looked funny, weather balloon, something silly, a bird that happened to be reflective for whatever reason. But also, your brain plays tricks on you. And the crazy part about, for me having a family where I had some mental issues, if let's say you hurt your body, you hurt your wrist, you look at it with your eyes and your brain can tell you what the status is. But if there's something wrong with your brain, the very mechanism that's supposed to detect what's wrong, if there's something wrong with it, how do you know something is there? It's like if the diagnostic system in your car goes bad, how do you know if there's anything wrong with the car? So like, sometimes I don't think, like, your brain can have just a hiccup. You ever wake up in the middle of the night and you think someone said your name? You wake up and you're like, I'm alone. Fuck.
Yeah. Not my name, but I've woken up.
Yeah, did that happen? Or someone say something like, move over. And you're like, wait, what? No.
Yeah.
Someone here? I think visually you can have a visual hallucination. Just your brain gets bored for 2 seconds. You see something quick and you're like, wait, did that happen? Did that not happen?
Well, then how do you explain when multiple people see the same thing? So the Fatima case is a famous case where there was an appearance of what at that time, what now we would describe as an alien, but back then they translated, this was South America and extremely at the peak of like a very orthodox Christian religion, and they translated it as angels coming. They were angels that spoke to us. They came down and they described it as angels, but then so many people saw it in a group, and then the next day they came back and with an even larger group, and it happened again. There's something going on, I think, and I think some of them are a hallucination, but I think there is a phenomena going on there that is real on some level, and I think it's just we're just incapable of true realization of what it is. And
here's the other thing. Do you know how there's flat Earth people?
Yeah, of course. No friends of mine.
There's so much evidence to say that it's stupid. In fact, there's the Flat Earth organization. There's a Facebook page. I saw this meme.
There's more than one, man.
Well, it was like the main Flat Earth organization to unite our Flat Earth like soldiers, whatever the hell it says, from all around the world. I just love the part.
Around the world. That's hilarious.
But if there's people that believe in flat Earth and coming up with evidence, I've heard some of them. I've watched videos of guys that are trying to convince other people that the world is flat, and how
I've interviewed one of them. They're out of their minds.
If that exists, there are people that are talking about these aliens, and if you can get a group of people,
yeah, man.
If you're a real popular person and you're the priestess of this village, and you have like all these people following you and wanting to be you and wanting to be in your favor and all this other shit, and you're like, look, that's the angel, and it's really like a shaking leaf. People that really want to be liked by you. You're like, yeah, I see it too. Also, it's like, was it documented? Was it? Is this just word of mouth? Did someone say, oh yeah, the whole camp saw it, or the whole village saw it? But is the village like 15 people, and out of the 15, how many people really saw it? And then, unless it's like,
there are ordinary people though having these experiences, and like if you read some of these reports, like the books that I'm reading, Jacques Vallée and Dr. Hynek, who was a guy who worked on Project Blue Book, he was an independent physicist at first, but then he got hired by the government, and he was in charge of collecting all of these reports, that eventually the government still denied that there's anything worth looking into after this guy did 10 years. But this guy came into it as a skeptic, as a physicist. He's like, oh, well, the government wants to pay me all this money to go out there and talk to these people. Let me start doing it. And after like 2-3 years of doing this, he's like, Jesus Christ, there's something going on. He's talking to people that were, they're not these quacks, in other words. And they're not, all of them are not these bored housewives in Oklahoma. There's legitimate reports of an experience going on that's beyond a hallucination, I think. There are credible people that have had these experiences. So, it is going on. But you can see quite clearly that the experience is then, the witnesses are painting it in a very, very earthbound, like, frame. It's very, very culture bound even. They're I saw a person, they're like, there's a person in a ship waving, and it's like it's got 4 limbs like me, and it's like that's such a earthbound translation of an alien. Like if it was an alien,
or kind of like it's like, yeah, it was round metal with a
metal
plastic dome.
That's right.
It's like even our spacecraft have such limited windows. You can't see anything in it. It's a black and a tiny. I know. It's like you're going through space. Yeah.
I know. I forget what my point was there. The thing I wanted to bring up earlier, you mentioned this is this other thing that I think busts out any sort of like visitation theory, the amount of time involved. So now, just the amount of time that humans been on the Earth, right? So you always see they'll take the 365-day calendar and they'll extrapolate. Dinosaurs arrive on December 1st.
I have an even easier one. If you take your arms and stretch them out, you're making a T.
You mean a crucifixion?
Yeah, exactly. You're making a T. The history of the world starts at one fingertip and goes to present day.
Yeah, 4.7 billion years or 4.6 billion years.
The amount of time, I don't know, the amount of time life has been on Earth, or the amount of time man has been. I think the amount.
No, man. You're gonna say
the amount of time man has been on Earth.
Not even the tip.
The tip is the white quick of your fingernail.
So on 365 on the year, it's Christmas. We appear like around Christmas or like December 26th or some crazy shit. Or maybe even later.
Yeah.
That's just the life of the Earth. 4.5 billion years. Now the entire life of the universe, there's several theories, but they basically range between 12 billion, 25 billion. Well, let's find a middle ground here. Let's say it's 18 billion. Now extrapolate your T even further and tell us where the humans are.
So hair width.
A hair width. Okay? Yeah. So now think about that. So that there's one factor, time. We're a hair width. We're a flash. A flash of light. And then we're a flash of light in a giant... How many acres is the fucking universe, let's say? We're
20, 30.
We're a tiny little flash in the very corner of this giant sprawling thing. So what are the chances that another life form happens to occupy the same space in the same time that we are, that tiny little flash? Way the fuck... You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The chances are so slim that it would coincide in our same space-time. It's so slim. The chances of I'm not saying the chances of the Earth. Maybe they've appeared...
You're talking about something interdimensional.
Something interdimensional or intergalactic. They may have checked out the Earth 2 billion years ago. Maybe they flew by, or whatever the fuck you want to call it that they do. There's a higher chance that they've checked it out. The chances of them arriving while humanity is here, like human beings are here, or even during history, which is 10,000 years, let's say, give or take, that is so fucking slim. It's given the life of the universe and the vastness of it.
Yeah.
And I don't think people, they don't talk about that. I mean, never mind they're going to keep appearing. Hey, let me come again. Oh, I'm coming again. It is out of control.
I think it's more like the more we know just about our own solar system and the distances involved. Look at that. Back in the 60s, people thought Martians came from Mars.
Oh, I know. And people have stories too. There's been reports before we even were really digging into Mars where people will say, I read a case study in this book that a person was visited and they're like, what did they say? They told me they were from Mars. They told me they were from Mars. I mean, you gotta be, where'd you get that information? You know, comic books mention this stuff. You see, like, we know now that there isn't anything coming from Mars. Like, we know now that I mean, you got conspiracy theorists that claim that not to be true, but
well, yeah, people that
you're a crazy
never
person.
Went to the moon too.
Those people are crazy as well. It's coming from our, these stories, and it's just, this book just hammers it home the fact that, they were called fairies, they were called angels, and now they're called the Greys. I mean, it's just like if you're an extremely religious culture from long ago, you would have said it was an angel. If you were from Ireland, 200 years ago, you would have said it was a fucking fairy. If you're in fucking Yonkers, New York, and it's 2018, you're gonna say that, oh, I saw the mothership and they were aliens, and that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So, what is the exact experience? What is the phenomena? I don't think our brains are equipped enough to give a proper translation of this activity, but something is going on. Something pretty peculiar.
Or is it just something in our programming? Like, imagine, like, every person's a computer. We all have our own operating system and how we work. Now, if you think about it, the couple traits that people have that has kept us alive as a species is to, like, you want to be with a group. Because if you're with a group, it means survival. If you're by yourself in Africa, whatever,
so the primate pack mentality.
Yeah, you want to be with a pack.
Yeah.
You also want to have a healthy fear of the unknown.
That's right.
Because when a stick breaks in the middle of the night, you don't want to just be like, fuck it.
And
sleep through.
And that's wired in as well. And that's wired even older, back to the lizard brain, back to the fish brain,
and
whatever.
Your brain is constantly trying to see stuff and, like, make. Ever drive and you see, like, there's, like, a tree on the side and you're like, is that a bear? And then you get closer and it just happens to be a branch or a bush that was shaped the right way, or that's what.
I mean, I don't drive around bears like you do, Mr. Bear photographer.
But barely.
Barely.
But
that's funny.
Sorry to punish you. But that your brain's always trying to make sense of patterns and things like that. So when sometimes it just doesn't get enough information, it's going to go to some extreme. It's going to go to
that's
whatever
right. Sure.
cultural phenomenon it's like someone's like at the time that in 1600 it was fairies, then it was leprechauns, and there was something else, and then we're saying, oh, it's probably aliens. If you saw something, if you were in Normandy landing and you saw something out of the air that you didn't recognize, you're like, it's the fucking Germans, because that's what's more relevant to what's going to keep you alive.
That's right. And Carl Jung studied this, and Carl Jung wrote one of the best books on UFOs that has ever been written, and it was one of the first ones. It was published in, like, 1952, and it's called Flying Saucers, the Myth of Things Seen in the Sky, or something. Mm-hmm. And he was very into symbolism and symbolic psychology and archetypes, and he would talk about how these archetypes go way back deep in our subconscious, and one of them was he used to try to, as one explanation for the saucer, and he talked about how it was called the spinning rotundum. And he talked about how when a brain confronts, or a consciousness like we have, confronts a phenomenon that, whether seen, felt, or whatever, but usually seen, that doesn't fit into our cultural programming, or our let's say our software can't read it.
Yeah.
You know how sometimes, like, if you have a certain app and you send me a message, but if I don't have the same app, a certain symbol will be...
Oh, it'll be like a little square.
It'll be a little square with an X through it.
Yeah.
Like, I get that a lot because I have an Android phone, and when I'm communicating with iPhones that don't have some of the same emojis and shit, I get a lot of these squares because I got an Android phone, I'm sorry.
And you have people that like to emoji a lot.
So that's the way this software translates that, because it can't see it. So Carl Jung talked about how when a brain confronts the thing that it can't translate, it turns the object into a spinning rotundum. And that was one of his explanations of what this saucer could be. When we confront something and we can't take it in and really process it properly, we all see this spinning thing. And now, I'm not saying I'm going to say that that's correct or not, but what an interesting way to look at it. Like, in other words, we need to look at this stuff way different, and it needs to go deeper. It does come from our vision of it, our translation of it does come from, like what you said, our primal fears, what we want to make it because we're scared of. It's fight or flight, and so we'll see something, and we'll look at it as something that it isn't, because that's more problem solving for us.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's on the biological level, way deep in our bones. The lizard brain, imagine how old this brain is, and it's been dealing with shit like that. It's gonna kill me. What is it? And then add on to that something like what Carl Jung's talking about, which is this other unconscious thing going on. And you can see there's so many other ways to look at this that I think most people don't even really talk about. But these are the things that we should be talking about when we talk about this kind of phenomena. And I think ghosts can be put into that category, maybe even Bigfoot, definitely UFOs and aliens.
With Bigfoot, I literally think Bigfoot is people that have seen bears that are standing up at a distance. If you see it, remember how I showed you that picture of the bear with no hair and it looks like a man in a suit?
Yeah, it does look like a man in a suit. It's a hairless bear.
It's a hairless bear.
It looked like a man.
Yeah, so...
It was so fucking gross.
Yeah, if you've ever seen a bear stand up, and from far away, you're probably like, holy fuck, is that a guy? Oh, he's got a bear head? It's Bigfoot!
Yeah.
And you're like, if you use the bar story, Rich goes into the bar, he's like, hey guys, I saw a bear standing up. They're like, whatever, Rich, sit down. But if Rich comes in and says, hey, I saw Bigfoot, everyone's like, oh my god, where'd you see it? Oh, I saw it there the other day.
Sure.
And there's that attention thing.
I deflate that Bigfoot theory with just one question, and that is,
Where are the bones?
where are the skeletons?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me this thing's been around for 1 million years?
No one's found a skeleton.
There's not a single skeleton? We have dinosaur skeletons that go back 60 million years.
I agree.
I mean, you're out of your mind with this Bigfoot thing. That's not what's going on. It's not a species that's been roaming the earth for millions of years.
Oh, and there's people that believe they're like Bigfoot. Oh, he could transform into other animals. It's like, really? Or like people that see chupacabras.
Those bears you showed me look like some of the
those
chupacabras that I've heard described.
It's got mange or some kind of genetic thing where they lose
Like
hair.
it's got big teeth and it's skinny with the skin hanging off. That looked like a fucking chupacabra.
You have a coyote that goes through the same type of thing? That's gonna look like a little alien.
Oh yeah, a coyote?
A little hairless coyote.
Nasty.
It's scary as fuck.
Yeah, it would look like not a creature from this earth.
And then you'd see that if you're a guy in the middle of the night, you see this thing, you're gonna be like, oh fuck, it's an alien. Think about it, like the stories of Cyclops. They're finding elephant skulls. If you take Greek mythology and look to see where a lot of the stories originate from, a lot of the mythical creatures are areas where it's popular for people to find fossils of a certain type of animal.
So like the Minotaur or something.
I don't know about the Minotaur, but I know like the Cyclops is where those stories came from. You could find like woolly mammoth skulls, and basically an elephant's skull has one giant hole in the middle of its skull.
Is that true?
Yes. Yeah, so people think, no, I'm just gonna lie to you. So people think, and there's another.
Never heard that.
It's like it's not a sphinx or there's another. I think it starts with a G. There's this other. It's like a winged cat or some kind of mythical cat. And when the way they draw it, there's some fossilized dinosaur that its bone structure, if you put it together, you can make it into this. It's a griffin. A griffin or something like that.
Oh yeah, all right. That's a giant, what looked like kind of like a dragon bird type.
Yeah, something like that. Where's the? What's up? Griffin. So people found those bones, like, oh shit, that must be Oh, that's a football player.
Now you just mentioned we talked about a dragon for a second. Now, so those also dragons go back like thousands of years too, like sightings of dragons in ancient China and all over the world. I read this book called Mind Monsters that talks about this sort of how far back these creatures go that the author sort of puts together a compelling case that these things do come from our minds.
Anyway, you find a Tyrannosaurus Rex skull.
Yeah.
Or a Velociraptor skull.
Yeah.
You bring that home, people are like, what the fuck? And that's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
I mean, they came up with dragons, I don't know, 1700s and shit like that, where it's
it goes back further than that. We're talking 4000 BC.
Yeah, so the amount of information people had back then,
yeah.
I mean, you know when you say, like, you could look down on someone by like, oh yeah, they didn't even graduate high school, so they must know nothing. Well, if that person has leaps, they're like a PhD, Jesus, I don't know, a PhD doctor compared to someone back then.
Yeah. Now the other thing too with these, and you alluded to it earlier, when people start talking, shit gets spread, and it's more likely that someone else will also use that interpretation for a similar phenomena. So, I saw something kind of furry. Maybe that was a Bigfoot. I read in the news that someone saw Bigfoot in the next state. This must be the Bigfoot. So, like, the media and this kind of shit creates, like, a meme in the culture that then can be used as a translation for this phenomena that people have. And this is something that blew me away. And I recently noticed it doing my podcast, Weird AF News. So, and then I looked into it because I found more instances of this. So the culture can create a myth, and then somehow this myth will it'll create a sort of like a hysteria around it, and people will have these experiences. So so the clown sightings
Slender Man.
So I was going to say Slender Man. When I went and dove deeper, I found the Slender Man to be a very similar incident. That's a perfect example. The Slender Man's created by somebody, this vision, and then people now report that they saw Slender Man, this kind of shit. Now, this recently happened with the clowns, most recently, in the southwest of the United States. And it coincided with the re-release of Stephen King's It movie. Now, I don't know how coincidental this is, but it was the same time. Clowns being sighted.
Yeah.
I saw a clown. It ran into the woods. I saw a clown in my backyard. Then it ran away. When I was covering Weird AF News, I came across so many stories within like a 3-month period of all of these clown sightings in Virginia, West Virginia, mostly in the kind of Virginia area, but all along the coast, Georgia, into Florida. Clown sightings, man. So, like, there may be something going on too with the collective unconscious. Which,
you know what?
That we put this out there. We put out a meme.
When the movie It came out, if you can go to Amazon and look to see how many clown costumes were purchased, and look at a graph, I'm sure they coincide with the sightings.
Sure, maybe they do. But the Slender Man's. You would have to say, okay, so people going out and buying Slender Man costumes, how do you explain that? But also, so the movie Jaws, right? When Jaws came out in 1973, whatever year that was?
I think it was 76.
76, so then that summer, so many reports of sharks. Now, we can explain that away. That's not a supernatural phenomena. That's just that's how powerful the mind is, and that's how powerful the media can be, and a meme can be once it gets into the culture. It'll play a trick on you.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
A self-fulfilling prophecy. It'll play a trick on you. You saw, I saw it. It must be this. This is going on. So that's just another thing to add to this whole UFO equation, or add to this Bigfoot equation, or there's so many layers of all of these influences that make this thing so hard to get a grip on. There is a way to study it scientifically, I think. I like to think, and we don't have that. We may have that yet, but there'll never be any sort of funding to go into that area to figure out what this stuff is, because people will not listen to any other argument than that it is gray people coming from far away, It's just fucking crazy. It's crazy.
Well, there's too. I mean, it's like any fad too, like pet rocks or hula hoops or whatever, or those fidget spinners. Like,
What do you have against fidget spinners? I have like several of them. How do you think I get through the day, man?
fidget. Well, all of a sudden they just exploded, and like because other people had them, they wanted to have them too. Like,
The fidget spinner is the spinning rotundum that Young talked about, but in our hand. We don't know what really that is, but
it's a personal UFO.
It's a personal UFO that your mind can't get a grip on what it really is, so it just translates it into the spinning fidget spinner.
I know people that are addicted to those things, and like I played with it for like 20 minutes. I was like, I wonder how fast I can get this to go. And once I got it going pretty quick, I was like, I'm done with it. Like I don't need to.
But wait a minute, you didn't put it up your butt? That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, yeah. Oh, I didn't do that.
Oh, you don't get it at all, man.
I was wondering why I had holes in it. Just had a string to it, didn't get it
You're
out.
wondering why it smelled funny.
Yeah. Like, well, you got chocolate all over yours. But